Hey everybody, this is Airy in the Air here, and today I got a little paraglide review for you of the Little Cloud Gracchio. This is an exciting new glider from Little Cloud, and I've flown it about 100 hours now and have got some pretty exciting experiences to tell you about. But first, we'll start with a little overview of the glider, just some basic information, and then we'll talk about the design intention behind it from Thomas at Little Cloud, and then we'll talk about some experiences I've had, and we'll wrap it up with who I think this glider is best suited for. All right, so to begin, the glider itself is a very interesting design type for me. It has a modest aspect ratio of 5.6, which puts it right in the middle of the B class for aspect ratio. It's made with semi-lightweight materials and a very simple internal structure which keeps the weight down. The 23 meter size that I was flying weighs 4.2 kilos, which is pretty good. The upper and lower surface are made from a Dodco 35 grams per meter fabric, which is lightweight but still really strong, and it also has a really soft finish to it, which is really nice. The glider is available in sizes ranging all the way from 21 meters all the way up to 27 meters, so there's a size for everyone. And even though the aspect ratio is a modest 5.6, the rest of the glider seems to be designed for a higher level of performance. I talked to Thomas, the owner of Little Cloud and the designer of this glider, and he helped me understand a little bit more of the design intention behind the glider. So when he started making the glider, he thought he was going to make the fourth iteration of the Goose Mark IV, and he had gone through a lot of prototyping to create that, and he was in the final stages. He had already had it certified in 3 sizes, and he had the glider out for testing to a number of his test pilots in France. And some were saying the glider was great, but a couple said, oh, the glider's terrible, what's going on? I'm having wingtip collapses. And they realized that the harnesses that they were using were causing huge differences in the way the glider was handling. So he started from scratch. So the Gracchio is built from the ground up, it's its own thing. He did 15 prototypes, and the production Gracchio is the refinement of all of those prototypes. And as Thomas says, it is more accessible than the Goose Mark III, but it has better glide, better speed throughout the entire speed range, more stability, and a better glide ratio. So what I think is so interesting about the design of the Gracchio is that even though the AR is 5.6, the line plan is really, really simple and very low drag. The lines are very thin, fully unsheathed. The opening on the leading edge is incredibly small. The glider is very, very efficient. It's like the sail from an E and B, but the lines and the opening from an E and D. So it makes a glider that has high passive safety, but it has all of the design features that would make it very efficient, very fast, and keep it really responsive. The glider is certified, but it doesn't have an EN rating. If it did have a rating, it would likely land right in the B class. The kiting characteristics are so nice. The glider being lightweight, it makes it so easy to inflate even in light wind, and the glider just really wants to stay off of the ground. You don't have to pull on it too hard, and the wind doesn't need to be too strong for the glider to come up. It settles overhead really easily with a light brake input. It doesn't try to overshoot you. It makes launching really nice and easy. The lines on the Gracchio are also slightly shorter than your typical paraglider, by about a meter. And one of the questions I asked Thomas was about the lack of stabilo line in the Gracchio. The Gracchio has no stabilo, and he told me that design actually comes from kiteboarding kites. He's also a developer of kiteboarding kites, and that makes the glider more responsive, more agile. And what I noticed was that as you kite the glider, as you fly the glider, it's actually really nice that you don't have this outside line going out to the wingtip, because it actually gives you more space to play. The glider doesn't catch things closer to the ground when you're kiting and or flying. And I asked him about what that does for cravat recovery, and he said,
if you have a cravat with a Gracchio, then yeah, I owe you a beer. If you have something that's not going out.
He intentionally has no hard materials, no ribbing, no hard materials in the wingtip, in the closed cells of the wingtip. So if the glider has a big collapse and comes in between the lines, there's nothing hard to get really tangled up in the lines, and a simple asymmetric deflation will reset the glider very easily. As far as the design and build quality that I've noticed, it is as high as any brand I've ever seen, and there's a couple things that really stand out to me about the Gracchio just on your first flight. The first thing is the sail tension. When you look at the Gracchio at trim speed, the sail is perfectly tensioned. There is not a crinkle, not a wrinkle in the whole sail. That is only achieved by very precise production, and it makes it really efficient. Thomas said he wanted to design the glider in a way that would give it good responsiveness and good pilot feedback without overloading the pilot with information. When I got the glider, I was really excited. It's nice and light. It has a low pack volume. So I packed it up and I headed to Mexico. My very first flight on this thing, I was flying in a flying festival in Chiapas, and my very first flight, I flew 4 hours, 15 minutes, a little over 85K, and it was just incredibly easy to get onto this glider. Like I said, it's a really low aspect ratio. 5.6 is really easy to handle. And for me, when I'm a couple thousand feet off the ground, a 5.6 aspect ratio, I don't feel like I need to really be on top of that thing too much. On the speed bar, I'm happy to have my hands off the toggles. I'm not worried about the glider too much. I did take a couple of collapses that hardly turned, hardly dove. So the glider really does have a high passive safety and is a really confidence-inspiring shape. With that said, the glider does have incredible cross-country performance. It is so fast, it has such small lines and such a small opening on the leading edge. The glide ratio is well over 10. The climbing is wonderful. The brakes have a great responsive feel, and turning is precise and agile. It's really nice to core thermals on, and the glide is everything you would hope for from an ENC or a performance cross-country glider. The next day, I launched the same site and I flew into the wind 25K to this place called El Cañón del Sumidero, which is just the most amazing thing to fly over. It's incredible, I made it! Woohoo! Wow, it's so deep, it's crazy! Woo, so cool! And again, the glider is really stable on speed bar, which is confidence inspiring heading into the wind. And it really just is an easy, intuitive glider. After landing that second day in Mexico, I was just stoked. Juntamos. Bailando. Bailan, bailan. The glider is awesome. I'm really happy with it. When I got back here to Oregon, I tested it out in some more acro conditions here at my home site in Bend, and happy to find that the glider does amazing wing overs. It's really dynamic. It's super responsive and agile. The stall characteristics are really benign and easy. I will say that the glider is really designed to want to fly and to keep flying and to have a really, really slow stall point. So you really have to try to make it stall, and it really wants to restart quickly. And unlike other gliders in the class, it seems like the safety and the performance also come with the responsiveness and agility that you would expect from an ENC. It's quick to roll and to pitch when you really start pulling on the brakes, and the wingovers and the sats and the stalls, they all feel really nice and fun. It doesn't feel like the glider is dumbed down at all. It feels more like the glider is a very modest shape with the highest performance characteristics possible out of the shape that it is. It's a really unique design, and it's really exciting. So in conclusion, I think this glider is best suited for new pilots who are ready to step into their first dedicated cross-country glider, or for the really experienced cross-country pilot who wants the performance but wants just the ease of use and the peace of mind that comes with a lower aspect ratio while still maintaining the uncompromised performance that this glider is providing. I think it's also great for the pilot who just wants a one-wing quiver that can do every type of flying they can throw at it and beats the competitor's price by a full $1,000. I think that if you were to try this glider out in cross-country conditions and soaring conditions, you'll really love it. It is bred with the Little Cloud spirit of safety and fun, responsiveness and agility, and it's light enough for hike and fly. It has enough performance for cross-country. It's fast enough for high wind soaring. This is a really good one-wing quiver. I'm really excited to have tested out a Little Cloud. I had only flown a mini wing Little Cloud before years ago, which was really fun, and I didn't know that they were so passionate about making cross-country gliders. So kudos to Thomas for creating an amazing glider. So happy with it. I think this is a really, really unique and interesting design. I think it fills an awesome niche in the market, which is for people who are looking for high performance without sacrificing the safety or usability of it, while also retaining the responsiveness and agility and playfulness that this glider has. I'm really stoked on this glider. I'm gonna keep flying it through the summer, going big cross-country all over the place. If you'd like more information about pricing and sizes and availability, you can check out the littlecloudusa.com or send me an email, airyintheair@gmail.com. Happy to help you find the right size, the right fit for you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Check out the Little Cloud Gracchio. I'm sure you're gonna love it. We'll see you on the next episode.